Hello YouTube, welcome back to the Basement Card Collector. Today's video is going to be a sports book report number 4 in the series. The book you see here today is titled Juiced by Jose Canseco. This book came out in 2005 and it was to be the tell-all book on steroids in Major League Baseball. I'll be honest, I didn't want to read it in 2005 or 2006, mainly for my baseball card reasons. The people that were rumored to be in this book or tales of in this book are the players that I collected, the players that I have tons of cards in binders and sorted into players, and kind of had these small hopes of when I retire someday, this rookie card of said player is going to be big bucks, just like it's supposed to be back in the 50s and the 60s. And if you saved all those players from when they were young to when they retired, you had a nice little collection of maybe expensive cards. So Jose Canseco, if you can see the cover, the uniform that he's wearing here is kind of a generic black, kind of dark colored uniform with the number 33. Probably most famous for those Oakland A's teams back in the 1980s. He was an MVP in 1988. He was the first 40-40 man in MLB history, 40 home runs and 40 stolen bases in the same season. That was just mind-blowing. And then he went on, of course, to hit over 450 home runs, over 1,400 RBIs, 200 stolen bases. I mean, the guy was a massive dude that could hit the bombs, okay? And so this book, I read this book in 2018 on spring break. So I didn't read it anywhere close to when it was actually coming out, but my family, we go to Florida for spring break, and I always pick up a book or two to read while we're sitting on the beach. I'll be honest, I wanted to read this, but at the same time, I didn't. And if you are my age and you collected those same players that I'm going to show here in just a minute, maybe you have the same feelings. Let me see. I just kind of pulled some of my more, like, I want to make sure I read these parts to you. Just a couple, nothing too... Like right away, we're talking page 8 right here. He talks about how he would go into a bathroom stall with Mark McGwire and shoot up steroids, like just like that, like it was no big thing. And Mark McGwire, back when I was collecting, was just a home run hitting monster. Him and Canseco, the Bash brothers. I mean, you've heard of those 1980s teams. Those A's teams were just stacked. They did win a World Series, I believe, in 89. Yeah, 89. They beat the Giants. Here, I thought this also, when I think of Jose Canseco, I think of him looking like this. And if he did the steroids like he says he did and passed them on to people like he did, I'm thinking, well, he probably started in 1990s, 97, 98, those years where everybody was getting huge. Well, this line on page, again, we're just getting started, page 11. It says right here, the first time he started taking steroids was in 1984. He was only 20 years old. So again, if that's true, I don't know why he would, make that up. But in my mind, I thought he did it in 1994 or something like that. Check out some of the color photos in this book. I mean, huge. Here he is later on, just taking some BP. Again, huge. That's kind of what I remember him like. Mullet, guns, gold chain. He's from he's from Cuba, but kind of grew up in Miami. But you can see he was a Blue Jay there towards the end. He kind of bounced around several times. Several teams. He was an Oakland A, I think 2 or 3 times. Here he is as a Devil Ray back in Tampa. I mean, come on, check that out. That's a baseball player. He had some colorful off the field stories. Here he is, kind of like a karate training, kickboxing. That's his first wife, his kids. But here's where it gets just to be, and again, if you, I'll show you some cards in a minute, but here it says So when he was traded to the Texas Rangers, some of those guys that were just getting there, and then not long after that, I sat down with Rafael Palmeiro, Juan Gonzalez, Ivan Rodriguez, and educated them about steroids. So right around 1994, he's explaining how the steroids work because he had buddies and, you know, how to, where to, all that kind of stuff. I thought this was kind of interesting. Also, this is near the back. They had a home run derby somewhere in 2000-ish. And it's like a big home run contest. Look at the names of these people that were there at that contest. Barry Bonds, Mike Piazza, just some of the names that you associate 1998 with, 1999, Sammy Sosa, Sean Green, and a younger, more thin player named Barry Bonds. Was like in 2000, it says. So Jose Canseco says in his book on page 216, he says, so what did Barry Bonds do that next offseason? He showed up in spring of 2001, 40 pounds, with 40 pounds of added muscle. And as soon as he set foot on the field in Scottsdale that spring, he was all anyone could talk about. Look how big he is, they would say. So in this book, if you've read this book, then you know what it's about, or if you can just guess what it's about, just that steroid era. And so what I have here to conclude from my thoughts on this book, if you've read this book, it's just kind of sad. If all the things that Canseco says in the book are true, it's sad. Are some of them embellished and kind of the truth stretched a little bit? I sure hope so. I sure hope so. The strike of 94, I think he had 31 home runs through those like 112 games. He would have been on pace to hit like 45-ish, maybe 50 bombs, he says. So the strike of 94, obviously that was terrible. The owners wanted, you know, fans to get back in the seats, and the fans didn't want to go anywhere near the parks. It was all the money, who gets the, you know, all the blah, 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 money, money, money. So that was, you know, not great. So then when you fast forward it to 1998, and that's the Sosa McGwire race. It's like I was a kid in college. I couldn't wait to get home to see, did Sosa hit one today? How many did McGwire hit? And so did the owners know of the steroids? It's hard to say no. But did it make me want to watch well, yeah, I wanted to see Sosa. I love the Cubbies, love Sosa. And so what I have here is, let me just show you I just kind of pulled some of my favorite Cansecos. And again, this was one of the coolest cards I remember happening. That's the 89 Fleer, talking about the 40 steals and 40 home runs. I remember opening this pack, or, you know, tons of these packs, thinking, how in the world can a guy hit 40 bombs and be fast and steal 40 bases in the same season? And I was young then. I was 10 years old. I just couldn't believe that happened. And they made a card of it too. And I just pulled a couple of the, nothing too crazy, but I just thought they were super cool back then. I just thought that's one of my favorite looking cards, with the wood, with the yellow, the cutoff sleeves, the 3/4 with that. And then I just grabbed 2 87s. I remember him thinking, my gosh, that guy plays baseball. Just a massive dude. So these are two of the younger Cansecos that I just pulled quickly. His rookie's in 86, I know, but I just thought I would grab. And then moving along into the end of the Canseco of this book, it's kind of what I think. I thought it was ironic. In 94, when he went to the Rangers, it shows him in the weight room. And then here's this SP, I think it's called, or special edition, something like that. Just with his guns, you know, the guy was just a massive. I mean, look at the photo there. There it is, 31 homers he hit in 111 games. So I just have those as he went to the Rangers. And then I just pulled some other cards that were really, so Rafael Palmeiro, in this book, he's mentioned, and the steroids, he, you know, denied using them. But as a Cubby, he was just kind of figuring out, pretty good hitter, but when he went to Texas, he magically started hitting 30 or 40 homers a year. And his teammate, like we said, Mr. Jose Canseco. And then I have four other cards of another guy mentioned in that book. And I also thought this was kind of ironic. it looks like the same photo or the same gym maybe. Here's Mr. Juan Gonzalez. I have tons of his cards. He actually is a great TTMer. And he signed all 4 of these, 2 rookie cards, and I just sent that one because him squeezing the baseball to dust I thought was kind of cool. But again, their Texas Ranger connection. And another player mentioned in the book, you know, Mr. Mark McGwire. Here he is as a massive dude playing first base for the Cardinals. But man, his home run race, him and Sosa, you couldn't get home quick enough to see what happened. And you were shocked that they both hit 60 that year. Here's a pretty shiny one. Home Run Heroes. And one of, I mean, love the Diamond Kings. This is just before he left the Oakland A's to join those Cardinals. But again, the Oakland A connection. So if you piece these, if you string these players together, they all kind of had this same, you know, connection between all the same player. I just dug out this too. Jose Canseco, identical twin to brother Jose Canseco. Never quite could play like Jose could, but still nonetheless. In this story, also my collection, not directly in this book did they mention A-Rod. He was still a youngster here, but he does talk about the Miami connection. A-Rod kind of growing up down there and training kind of in the same circles as Jose did. And Alex Rodriguez, of course, several hundred, 600 home runs, all those MVP awards, I think 3 of them. That's him as a young kid. There's, again, that rookie S special edition upper deck. And then I grabbed a couple Sosas just because of my cubby. But here he is as a young outfielder for the White Sox. Here he is, like, I think that's his 2nd straight 60 home run season. He had 3 in a row of 60 home runs. Manny Ramirez, great hitter. Also all over the steroid era. Gary Sheffield as a youngster. I thought this was kind of ironic. I found this digging out some cards. Talking about home run records set in that early 96 season. Gary Sheffield, Brady Anderson, and Barry Bonds all in the same card. I mean, Barry Bonds, obviously 700 home runs. Gary Sheffield is a 500 home run club. Brady Anderson had a 50 home run season in there. Carlos Delgado, this is him as a youngster. Never really was directly connected to the steroid era or the players of, but he also isn't in the Hall of Fame. And if you look at his numbers, 400 home runs, you know, just the man could hit. Oh, we found a Barry Bonds 87 too. Just one of the coolest cards. I love the wood grain. And again, that's him as a youngster. It's a Barry Bonds rookie, they say. Here's the Jason Giambi. And again, he's mentioned in the book towards the end, but he would be kind of on the tree, if you will. He was a youngster with the Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Jason Giambi connection. And again, just one of the cooler cards. I remember getting this back when I was young too. It's like, man, that guy is so big. Just a cool card, 1989 Upper Deck. So, am I a little jealous that the players from this era are kind of lumped together? Yes. Most of my collection are exactly these players, and you could throw in other players that just kind of are umbrellaed under this juiced era. I think I'm more sad if it's true. It must be somewhat true, of course. But this book, it's really a great read. And I say great read more because it's very sad. If you're a collector from the 90s, just have binders of these guys. And I have easily over 100 cards of everybody in this video. And are they going to ever make the Hall of Fame? I don't know. Is Roger Clemens ever going to be a Hall of Famer? I don't know. Does he have 7 Cy Young Awards? Yes. Did Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa help bring fans back to the game in 1998? For sure. Did the owners know about it? You have to say yes. If you've read this book, is everything in that book he said true? I sure hope not. Is there some truth to it? I'm certain there is. But just for the collectors, if you were in that junk wax era and loved getting a mini Rafael Palmeiro cards because the guy has 3,000 hits and 500 home runs, and you thought that 87 Future Stars card was going to be worth a lot of money someday, you're like me. If you've collected those Cansecos and McGuires and Gonzalez and Manny Ramirez and A-Rods, hoping to have some cool retirement when you're finished, you're like me too. So again, this is my 4th episode of my sports book report. The book is Juiced from 2005 and Jose Canseco. Have you read this book? Leave a comment below. Are you in the same boat as I am with tons of players from this era? Do you think they'll ever get into the Hall of Fame? Have you read this book? Would you like to read this book? I am open to sending this around. It's a really good read, and it's just kind of a shocking, sad, you hope it's not true kind of book. So that'll conclude this episode, and leave a comment. Let me know, do you collect these players? What do you do with them? Do you still have them in binders? Anyway, thank you for watching. It's getting to be 16 minutes. And if you like this book, let me know. I can send it out to you. We can pass it around the country like other times. So thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.